I'm going to briefly go through data validation. You may be aware of it and seen it where people have drop-down lists. I'm just going to go ahead and do a drop-down list so you know what I'm talking about. So I have a list of months here and their sales figures. Let's just say that's hidden somewhere else. I want to have a drop-down list of all the months, then I'll have a formula in here which will give me the sales figures that relate to that month I've selected there. So we're just working in these two cells. We don't need to worry about any cell referencing because we're not going to be dragging formulas anywhere. I already have my list here, so I can use that as the range in my data validation. Let's just go ahead. So my cursor's in here. This is where I want the drop down list in cell E4. Data up here, data validation, and the first option, data validation. So here, this is what we allow, a list. And the list, my source is my range here, my list of months, and that's there. Okay, then I've got this drop down here, January, there we go. Just to quickly show you, but I don't usually do it this way around, I can go to data validation. If you've only got a small list, I could say list yes, comma, no. So you can just manually type it in and separate them with a comma. So if I drop down here, these are my two options, yes, no. Just go up to here to clear that. Data validation, clear all, okay, that's not there anymore, delete. Okay, so now I've picked my month. I could do an X lookup, an index and match, or a sum ifs. Because these are unique values, that's why I can do the lookup. If I had a few years worth of data and January was mentioned several times, I would need to use sum ifs to aggregate those results. So I'm just going to do sum ifs anyway. Equals sum ifs, sum range, that's this. Don't need to do F4 or add any dollar signs. I'm not dragging this formula anywhere. The results are always going to be returned to this one cell. So that's my sum range, my values, my sales, comma, my criteria range, that's my list of months, comma, my criteria is my month. Close bracket, enter. I have other videos, obviously, it depends on what order you're watching my videos in, and that'll go through X lookup, index and match, sum ifs. So here's January, that's my result there. Every time I select a new month, my formula will find that month in this list and bring back the result. So that's May, September. So this is going to keep updating. Obviously in real life you're going to have something more complicated and you might have hundreds of rows of data, therefore this would be quite useful. I have another video when I'm going through the unique function which goes through dependent data validation. So it's a bit more advanced and you need to know a few formulas before you start that. I'll just quickly show you so you can understand what I mean. So here I have a list of categories. There are several lists of categories and I have part descriptions here. If I highlight that and you look at the count, there's 1,388 part descriptions. I have a drop down for the categories and a drop down for the part description. I don't want the 1,388 descriptions when I click on this. I only want to show the part descriptions that are in this category here. I don't want to click IT and to have all these 1,300 descriptions come up here. I only want to see the part descriptions that relate to the IT category. Therefore, when I click on IT and I click on this list here, I've only got my IT options there to choose from. You can see over here, these are my calculations where I've used the unique formula to bring me a unique list of categories, and I've used the filter function to filter the part descriptions based on whatever category is chosen over here. But I encourage you to watch that video, then you'll understand what I'm talking about. The only slight annoying thing here is when I choose a new category, it still keeps that part description for the last selection. But you can get around that with VBA, but that will be in my VBA video. Let's go back to our basic data validation. Over here, I want employees to enter transaction numbers. I don't want them to make a mistake. All our transaction numbers are 3 digits long, so there shouldn't be any entries that are 2 or 4 digits or anything else. If they have typed that in, that's a mistake. I can't use that data. So at the moment, I don't have any data validations on. They could easily make mistakes. That's not being highlighted anywhere. When I come to do some data analysis, these are wrong. I don't know what these relate to. And by the time I ask the employee about it, should this be 111? Should this be 121 or 211? I don't know. So we want to correct that straight away. We don't want to allow them to enter anything that isn't 3 digits. So that's where we can use our data validation. Just selected this range here. So on the data tab, data validation, often I use data validation for the list, but for this scenario, I could probably choose a few different things here, but let's go for a whole number between 100 and 999. So anything less than 100 is going to be 2 digits. Anything greater than 999 is going to be 4 digits. So that does work for us. Okay. Let's try and type something in here. So 103 should be correct, 3 digits. That's okay. Let's type in 21. I get this automated error. This value doesn't match the data validation restrictions defined for this cell. That's what I want. Retry. It should have been 121. Enter. I'm going to enter 4 digits. Enter. I get the same error message. It should be 111. So I'm avoiding errors using this data validation. I can also warn employees that this needs to be 3 digits because they might not know that. So let's just highlight this, go back to our data validation. So that was what we entered on the settings page, on the settings tab. Input message. So the input message warns them before they start typing. So the title is going to be restriction, and input message must be 3 characters. And I'm going to put in an error alert. You've got the options here. Just keep it stop. Check is going to be my title. Must be 3 characters. Please retry. Okay. So you can see here, whenever I click on one of these cells in this range, that input message comes up. So that gives them a warning before they start typing. That's just in this range I've selected here. Down here, that message doesn't come up. It was just this range. So let's just delete these and start again. So click on here, it warns me. So I just start typing in as normal, 103, that's correct. Here I'm going to make the mistake, 21, enter. This is the message that I wrote, check, must be 3 characters, please retry, retry. 121, enter. And 1111, must be 3 characters, please retry, 111. Well, that could be quite useful. Just show you one more example, but you can play around with it. Here we want employees to enter some text, but there's a limit to 15 characters. We don't want them to write too much. Just a quick message. So let me just highlight this range and go to data validation. Allow text length. I'm going to put less than or equal to 15. So that's 15 characters, the text length. Okay. That should be less than 15. That should be more. I get a message. Again, I could amend the message that comes up. There are lots of other options as well. I would say the examples I've shown you are probably the most popular and useful ones there.